So this koan has been one I've been looking at for a long time, and I wanted to say I found this website, which is called Hotetsu's Zen Blog. It's by this guy named Meredith Hotetsu Garman, who has practiced with everybody. He practiced with Musai, who's my dear Dharma brother, who's no longer here. Um, he practiced with Ruben Habito. Didn't isn't that who you practiced with? Yeah, Echo practiced with him. But this Zen blog, I'll send it to the members. But it's so wonderful because he has the koans, and then everybody likes to put their idea of what the koan is. But he has just compiled different translations and all of this commentary on the koans. What a wonderful resource. And I used it for this one. And I'd never stumbled across it before. This koan is Blue Cliff Record, um, Changsha. The Japanese is Chosa, but his mother called him Changsha, um, Chinese name. Anyway, Changsha goes picnicking. Changsha goes on a picnic. So Changsha one day went on a picnic in the mountains. When he returned to the gate, the head monk asked, "Your Reverence, where have you been wandering?" Shaw, "I have come from strolling in the hills." The head monk said, "Where did you go?" He said, "I went following the scented grasses, then came back following the falling flowers." And the head monk says, "That's spring mood itself." And Shaw says, "Well, it's better than the autumn dew falling on the lotus flowers." And Setcho later commented, "I am grateful for that answer." This is just a koan that's been on my mind so much. And in my traveling, I fell in love with the Nali Park wilderness. I know for what reason, because I've never been in such a huge wilderness. Uh, but anyway, when I was there, I thought about this koan a lot. Um, and then Aiken Roshi in this blog says this is one of the most important koans besides Mu, which is usually the first koan. What is Buddha nature? Mu, empty. What does that mean? What is that? I mean, I'm sure all of you right now are thinking of a bunch of what it means, but it's not about thinking in the way we usually think of thinking. Dogen said, "Think of non thinking." Maybe one of the biggest koans there is. What does that mean? How do we use our mind non dually? So, anyway, Mu is one of the most important koans. And I've pondered it. There's so many levels to it. It's just, you can talk about it from so many different angles, but there were a few things that I still didn't quite get. And that's the power of koan. And that's why they've lasted since, but most of these are from around 800, 600, 800. Uh, so they've lasted uh, almost 2,000 years. And the reason is because There's so much. They're so rich. Um, and you can sit with one koan forever. There's always more nuances, and this one's very nuanced. So the head monk, and one of the translations said the person in charge of training, the training master or something like that, which I think is better for this koan. Head monk is, like a temporary position during the Shuso Hosen. Someone takes on that role. It's kind of a junior position. It's in some ways senior. It takes a while to do Shuso, some years of practice, but head monk is kind of like the first time uh, acting like a senior, whereas the person in charge of training, I think that makes more sense. But I'll call him head monk. But he or she, could have very likely been a woman passing as a man in order to practice. I'm sure there are tons of them. Uh, but anyway, whatever they were, um, the head monk um, sees the abbot, and of course, the abbot is the one really the most senior in the monastery and the one really in charge of everything, and also the one that has the most freedom, that doesn't particularly have any jobs and just does what's needed to be done to run the monastery. So the head monk sees the abbot taken off in the mountains, or may have not seen him go. He sees him returned. He returned, and this is the only translation that says he went on a picnic, which I kind of like that because it has the flavor. But I don't know, maybe he had a couple rice balls in his pocket or something. But the main thing he did was go for a walk in the mountains. Um, and he comes back, and the head monk says, "Your Reverence, where have you been wandering?" And the way I get this koan is the head monk's a little bit miffed because he's there, they're there, uh, taking care of everything, sitting, getting up. In China, they probably got up about 3:30. When I was in Japan, we got up. We got up at 3:30 to do yoga before sitting, which was about 4:30, I think. But anyway, um, they're getting up very early. They're sitting, and then when they're not doing zazen, they're working very hard. They're doing service. It's a difficult, disciplined life to do Zen practice. Now, some of you are finishing Ongo. Some of you have done the full schedule, and I know you're tired and cranky. uh, it is hard, and you don't want to. Oftentimes, you don't want to. When I was at Zuyoji, which was very hard in Japan, and traditional, that kind of schedule with Enkyo Roshi, oh my goodness. We got so cranky. We shared a room, but it was a big room. It was like this size. It was a big room. But we got so cranky, we made a line down the floor. And Enkyo accused me of taking her towel. So I got my towel and I put Seisen on it and I marked the line. And my dearest friend, I wanted everyone to know that she gave this calligraphy to the Zen Center. It's Harmony, I think, which we have managed over all these years to constantly maintain. Right, Echo? if you define harmony as how people get along, oftentimes not so well. But anyway, my dear friend, oh yeah, that was hard. But anyway, the point was we had a calendar. Every day we marked off a day, and we did it as a ceremony, and we were serious. It was so hard. And I remember saying, we're going to remember this as a great experience. But also, the like second to the last day, I was sitting just hunched over. I was in such pain and no cushion, by the way, just tatami. I had terrible wounds on my legs, uh, and bandages on my legs from the tatami, and just such pain. And I broke. And it wasn't like it enlightened and oh, I broke. I broke. I I just it was tough enough that I finally let go. Um, so anyway, that's what that kind of training is about, and what we do here, ongo training. And so there's just no words to describe how powerful it is as a spiritual practice. And there's other spiritual practices, and they work great too, I'm sure. This is just mine. Um, But anyway, that's where the head monk's coming from. And here's Bozo Abbott wandering through the mountains. So I'm getting that he's a little miffed. And he says, where have you been? That's how I hear this. And then the commentary is this is kind of also a challenge. Like, I'm not into Dharma combat now. I think our lives we do enough dharma combat with our lives and trying to get along together. So I'm not into trying to poke and figure out cool zen things to say to each other, uh, which is very passive aggressive and a way to put down people. So uh, I'm not big into it, but these guys were our ancestors, uh, like this kind of stuff. So the head monk's kind of poking him. Uh, where have you been? But I think he's more just like, here I am holding down this really tough practice and serving as the example and encouraging people to do it, and you're off following butterflies. And, but where have you been? Where have you been? Where are you? Um, is there anywhere to go? There's also that flavor here. Um, where we're always thinking about where we're going, what we're going to do next, what we're are planning. um, One thing I wrote down from this blog, this isn't my words, purposelessness is admired in Zen, free from any plotting activity of the mind. So rather than thinking about where we're going, just being is also in this. And Changsha just answers it, he's not into Dharma combat either. I have come from strolling in the hills. Went for a little walk, walked around the hills. And again, the head monk says, where did you go? Like he wants him to make a place. And then he's going to say something, um, every place is here. Or, oh, there's the koan about the couple, I can't remember who they are. I think Manjusri maybe are strolling around, and one of them says, "This would be a good place for a temple." And the other one takes a piece of grass and puts it there. This would be a good place for a temple, right here. Naturally, it is. It's a good place for a temple, but Gaza bombs railing down is a good place for a temple. How to really get that, how to really see that everywhere is perfect. How to see that. Um, so where did you go? And Changsha, the abbot, says, I went following the scented grasses, then came back following the falling flowers. And here is where we start to get a sense of the theme of this koan, because our head monk, as you know, is really into everything as it is perfect. That experience that comes from concentrated sitting, that comes from doing ongo, uh, that experience of no self, that experience of letting go of attachments, of uh, pain, and also of joy. Just being able to be in this moment and have every moment be perfect, what we call the absolute, to experience that. It's important in our practice to experience that. So he kind of represents that. Uh, and the abbot is representing our life, our karma, our karmic life that all of us get, all of us have, all of us are living. Uh, there are things that are totally messed up, like killing each other, throwing rockets at each other. I mean, oh my Lord, we used to have rock fights when I was a kid. I don't know if kids still do that. I mean, how did we for a minute think that was fun? But our parents obviously didn't know. But there's a vacant lot, and we go and throw rocks at each other. Why? Why do we do that? I mean, it hurts when you get hit with a rock. Uh, but we have that karma. We have that karma. And now the karma of the world is so, wow, tough from so many different directions, violence and planet. And so it sounds like this kind of cheerful thing. He goes, I went following the scented grasses and came back following the falling flowers. It sounds nice, but it also represents, um, those perfect days. Like today, I hope it's a perfect day. I had a perfect day before yesterday with the dogs. This long trip I went on and everything, it was pretty much a struggle. I mean, it was amazing, but it was like ongo. It was a struggle, and lots of amazing insight. Uh, I think this is the first time in months the dog and we went to Fiesta Island, which if you have a dog, you probably know about it because it is dog heaven. And it was beautiful. And all the dogs got along. Bruno didn't pick a fight with anybody. And the people were so nice. It was just beautiful. It's just one of those perfect, uh, beautiful, sunny days. And kind of like spring, kind of like when we're young and everything's full of hope and flowers, and we just have this huge long journey in front of us, and we really believe we can make peace and take care of the environment and uh, have the perfect relationship, have the perfect children, get whatever position we want. So is following the scented grasses, and then come back following the falling flowers. And as we get older, as we age, some of those hopes and dreams die, and we don't fix war. We don't fix the planet. Our kids want to do what they want to do. They marry the wrong person, and uh, we're getting ready to die, to face death, which is a sobering thought, anyway. Uh, so when he talks about falling the scented grasses, come back falling the falling flowers, he's really talking about our karma. I mean, it sounds whimsical and like kind of like in the hippie days, just going to go with whatever happens and be blessed by all the universe and stuff. But in fact, karma's rough. Karma's a bitch. Don't they say that? um, but it is. Uh, and that's a practice. So we've got this sitting practice, meditation practice, Ongo practice, which is so essential for Zen. Um, Zen means meditation. Um, and then we have our how we live our life practice, the precept practice. And that's what we're looking at this week, this session coming up. I hope you can join us for a little bit of that. Sit until it hurts and then sit a little more. I read this book about mental illness. Anyway, it's a long story, but the kind of point of it is you have to go into the abyss. The way this young man finds his, and he doesn't find sanity, he just figures out how to live with who he is. But the way he figures that out is by going to the depths of the abyss, to the depths of his terror, of his fear, of his disappointment. And then what they said in this book is when you get to the abyss, it's kind of a fable. It's about a boat ride or something, but it's going to be full of treasure. And sure enough, it is. There's all this treasure, and he picks it up and he takes it up with him, and he's okay now up through the ocean. And as soon as he gets to the ocean, the treasure just goes into vapor. And he realizes, oh, that abyss is always there. Um, so that's like our practice. Like, I want to really get to the bottom of it. So that's why it's so hard to sit, because you bump into stuff you don't want to look at: fear, guilt, um, physical pain, which is what? Where did that come from? Bump into all kinds of things that are hard to be with. And that's the power of the schedule. You just keep on. You go into that abyss as much as is safe, of course. Of course, you can say uncle because it's just the Ongo schedule. You can walk away anytime. But making that vow, stay with it. So anyway, I hope as many as can will join this session. Um, uh, and part of this session is at the end, Kyoshin's going to receive the lei denkai, which is we call the preceptor teacher, precept teacher ceremony. Um, Precepts, that's the Soto school, the mission, I don't know it, but it's to realize emptiness and to do the precepts. And the precepts are about our life, how to live our life from the standpoint of emptiness, from the standpoint of awakening. So it's not either or. Uh, if you do, then you're stuck in the head or the tail. You can be stuck in enlightenment, and then you're wandering around like so full of everything's fine as it is, la di da di da, stuck in emptiness. Or we can get stuck in precept and the heaviness of karma. So they work together, and the precepts is our guidelines on how to navigate life, how to navigate our karma. Don't lie, don't steal. And of course, we all do that stuff. Or maybe you don't, but I do. And the point is to practice it. It's a practice just like sitting with oneness is a practice. It's to sit with my life and to notice, wow, I just lied. Why did I do that? What, blah, blah, blah. Just really dig into the precepts and dig into your life, which is following the grasses and the falling flowers. That's your life. And the head monk is still wanting to do Dharma combat. I mean, see, this is why I guess if you want to do Dharma combat with each other, I guess you're probably going to do it, but don't, you know? But the abbot, he's not into that. He's talking truth. He's talking truth um, as best he can. And so the head monk, he's still in Dharma combat. He said, that is spring mood itself. He's also still pissed off because the abbot's out playing, went on a picnic in the middle of Ongo. So head monk said, oh, that is spring mood itself. Aren't you special? La-dee-da. And the abbot says, it's better than the autumn dew falling on the lotus flowers. So referring to karma, and this is the line I reading all the different comments, I feel like this is my understanding of this line right now. Is yeah, you can talk about how great it is to go on a picnic in the springtime, and it sure is better than being in hospice and in constant pain and watching your life slip away. Look at your life. Get to know your life. Practice your life. Practice living the very best life we can with what we have, which is a lot of abyss stuff. Setcho says, I am grateful for that answer. So Sekiko says, Chansha has walked wholeheartedly in the grass. So he's living his life 100%. And of course, we don't do that. We're whining. Well, maybe you're not, but I am whining, and it could have been better. Why did that happen to me? It's not fair. And the grief, the incredible grief, but then be grief. So be our life wholeheartedly. I've been practicing that driving to the border because it is not a smooth ride. There are so many things that happen, and every time it's like, oh, like the races. I forgot it was the races in Ensenada, which the whole city is just so crowded and full of people. And I'm just, I want to get to the Zendo to be holy. And And I just relaxed and started watching the crowds. And the crowds of the races are wonderful. All these different people and kids and stuff. So I've been practicing allowing things to be as they are, and particularly driving to the border. More road work. Well, isn't this great? I can finish listening to the podcast on the radio. It just accept our life and then do what we can to make it better. Accepting doesn't mean not changing it. Accept it and then do what we can to make it better. So, one of the comments on his return following flowers, uh, uh, it's better following the spring feeling is better than the autumn dew feeling. Um, the comment is uh, Changsha is sitting in a forest of thorns, which is our life, sitting in a forest of thorns. And what sustains us is the realization of no self. Just this as it is perfect. Um, and then do the best we can with the precepts and everything, not to get pricked too often. And the final comment, which I think is Aiken Roshi, who they didn't put a clock here, is why I'm just running on. Um, Aiken Roshi, if you know, was very dedicated to social action, the importance of social action. Maizumi Roshi, not so much. Maizumi Roshi was kind of that school, realizing the oneness of all things is the best thing you can do um, to save the world. Realize no self, realizing we're all equal. Um, but Aiken Roshi says you got to do more than that. You have to manifest that. And Aiken Roshi's comment is saying this, talking about the karma like this is the key to Changsha, the abbots, uh, mature human character. So while the head monk is like, you have to sit and let's let's play around with seeing how good your understanding of emptiness is. Um, Changsha is living his life, um, following the grasses and the falling flowers.